And we are live. Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's stream. It's a bit of an unexpected one. I was really planning to make a video today, but let's just say I'm in a bit of pain and was a bit preoccupied with certain things. So instead, we're going to do a little bit of a short stream today where I'm going to answer some of your questions. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening right now on the front line. As always, please ask your questions in the Q&A chat. I will read them, and I will try to do as many of them as I can. We should start this stream, as with any stream, by saying a huge thanks to the moderating team. Without them, we would not have a civilized conversation on this channel, and it's only because of them that both you and I can actually go to some of my older videos and read through the comments section without being absolutely disgusted by the abundance of the Russian paid shills and trolls. So join me in giving a hand for the moderating team, and we're going to start right away. And the topic that I want to start off with is very short, first and foremost, and then secondly, it's about the state of Ukrainian drone industry. So I'm going to switch to this view over here. Now, I haven't translated this, so there's like names here, but the main and important part that you need to see here is the icons. And the icon is a strike that is not just a strike by Ukrainians, it is a confirmed hit by Ukrainians on the territory of Russia. And this, what we're seeing right now, this is only January. So it's January of 2025. I've specifically pulled the news from last year. And last year, actually, one of the facilities have been struck as well. But it was just one facility. So over the period of a year, we transitioned from Ukraine striking territory of Russia, not just sometimes maybe and hitting something in between, maybe a factory here, a factory there. We now transitioned to basically January being absolutely devastating month for the Russians. And you know what I always say, it's only going to get worse. The point that I'm making, like I've made already a lot of the comments on the fact that the expectations that a lot of people are having that the war is just going to continue on the way it does is not completely true and not completely right. And the same also goes for the strategic bombing warfare. While Russia has enjoyed their absolute dominance over Ukraine in strategic bombing campaign, I always knew that Ukraine will try to build up capabilities to hit back on Russia. What I was not expecting is that Ukraine will be able to build up those capabilities so fast. Because again, in a 1 year's time, we went from striking maybe one factory in a week or one oil refinery in a week to now being in just January, just bombing the crap out of the European part of Russia and really, really undercutting them. And this is kind of the compounding part of the war that I want to get to, is that Ukrainian strategic bombing capabilities really hurt Russia. Russia has not entered this war very well prepared to fight this kind of strategic bombing campaign. It really wanted to just subjugate Ukraine in very brief warfare, and it really wanted to kind of just undercut Ukraine and whatever Ukraine can do and just destroy everything because Russia has more resources. Well, the issue now comes that with Ukrainian growing capabilities, these resources are becoming more and more scarce. So I want us all to take this moment in, take what we've learned with looking at data for the January, and understand that, no, this war is definitely not going the Russian way. If there is no resolution, and so far, this is another narrative that I want to counter, that there's supposedly some kind of a quick negotiated solution that is about to happen, it's not. This war is definitely not going Russian way. And Russia can pretend that they can, do a lot. The problem is that this is not like European sanctions that you can circumvent. This is Ukrainian direct sanction packages flying into Russia. And from what we've been hearing, they've been just scaling and scaling and scaling up that drone threat. So that's some good news. Then I want to jump to the topic that appeared just recently with regards to Trump stating that he would like to get Ukrainian minerals in exchange for Ukrainian rare earth minerals in exchange for the weapons that US is providing. And a lot of the pro-Ukrainian supporters have been very vocal about this, let's put it this way, stating that this is absolutely a stupid proposal. And I want to counter that. We've heard, and I'm going to cover this a lot, like, give me a second, let me find this article. Reuters, Biden, help Ukraine. It's just a recent article that came out that Biden administration slowed Ukraine arms shipments in his last year significantly. So this is what Biden's administration did. And I believe that it is because the relationships between Biden's administration and Ukraine was that one of that Biden controls all the cards on the table, and he can decide whether he's going to send weapons to Ukraine or he's not going to send weapons to Ukraine. I was always in favor for Ukraine and everyone else to actually provide something to us. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, in my personal perspective, Ukraine is providing huge investments for us. They are doing the ultimate sacrifice. They are providing the safety for Europe. They're securing democracy. We all that are watching this stream right now, we all know that, right? But what I said was important to transition to these more transactional relationships, because transactional relationships are not one-sided. So as soon as you go into the transactional relationships, that's when the parties start getting invested. At that moment, like, if Trump will agree that Ukraine will supply certain rare minerals, then, well, if Ukraine is not getting US weapons, then US is not getting the minerals, right? You get me what I'm saying. This is the capitalism at work. And don't get me wrong, like, I would wish Ukraine get everything that it wants. Like, I would wish we would find the balls in our Western democratic world to finally stand up for the values that we're supposedly declaring, instead of growling in fear before dictators such as Putin, the big midget that is barely able to hold their country together, the country where more than half of the population haven't seen a flushing toilet in their life, period. So instead, we're getting the articles like these that are finally finding out that the allies of Ukraine are not supplying Ukraine with weapons. So I feel that there is actually a strong benefit for Ukraine to transition to more transactional style of relationships. And I know that it doesn't look very ethical, and I know it's not very something that you or myself would want, but it does give Ukraine an additional leverage, and I don't think that this is a bad thing. So you can throw rotten tomatoes at me if you would wish, but I think that this is not a bad idea at all. And I mean the idea in principle, not that it's a Trump's idea. Then finally, something I also was looking at, and then I'm going to wrap it up and we're going to answer the questions, is that I wondered, well, what's the NATO spending? Because we've talked a lot about the fact that the European Union needs to do more, and the European countries needs to do more, and the defense spending is inadequate. And I actually pulled data for defense spending. And you know what? It's not too terrible. The defense spending for 2024, 2025, just by the recent data, I think this is from 2024. So the dark blue lines are the 2024 spendings. The green line, the horizontal green line, is the 2% guideline. And as you can see, there is only Croatia, Portugal, Italy, Canada, Belgium, Luxembourg, Slovenia, and Spain that are not yet reaching the 2% guideline. So stating that the European countries have not increased their defense spending would not be inaccurate. Now, do I think that this is enough? No, I don't. But that is why we recently, and I'm going to Google here again, the root NATO increase. Yes, so we've heard that there is a brewing agreement that was stated by the current Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, that there is a more and more growing agreement within the European allies that they will be increasing the defense spending. My estimates is it's going to be around 3 to 3.5%. And 3.5% is a lot, especially if we can get countries like Germany to increase their spending. So far, Germany is at 2.12% spending. So it will be an additional defense spending percentage. And the main part is what you need to understand why any further increased spending is good for Ukraine is that the countries, they can supply Ukraine with equipment if they have that equipment. If we're talking about defense spending, then I'm gonna put you this line. Now, this is a bit complicated, but what you need to look at is the dark blue line here is the personnel expenses. And what you might note is that, for example, in Portugal, or Italy, you can see that these bars are quite high, the personnel expenses, whereas everything else, infrastructure, are lower seemingly. Whereas something like Poland that spends the most, you can see that the biggest majority is the light blue one, which is the equipment and research and development, so new high tech. So the more spending there are beyond the 2%, the more share of that spending goes towards equipment. So, and that makes sense, right? If you want to have your army, you have your small, nimble army, it's much harder to increase the number of qualified personnel because the European armies are... Do we have a military? That's a good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. But I'm trying to try to talk around this a little bit and give a little bit of a leeway about the fact that European armies are a little bit, let's just say, not combat ready. But what I wanted to say is specifically is that the countries that spend more, the bigger share of that goes towards the equipment. So if we see increase overall in Europe of defense spending, it's going to be much more proportionally towards the equipment purchases. So Ukraine will get more equipment, bang for buck, so to say. That is great. That is absolutely amazing news and so on. And I think a lot of the R&Ds right now are, for example, in drone technology. I don't think this is so on. Yeah, Italy's resources are so low because they have many US bases. Yes, and this is where I say where we're going to have the positive Trump effect. I mean, in the sense of that because Trump is so hostile towards the European Union, that's why we might see people in the European Union to kind of grow a pair, or at least pretend that they grow a pair and try to do something on their own. So that's my thoughts so far. Overall, I am very optimistic to see where the next year is going to take us. But let's just say that so far, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of shit is happening in the world, right? But this channel and myself, I'm primarily thinking about what does it say for Ukraine. And so far, for Ukraine, it's not too bad. Now, this is obviously dependent on super important part that we do not control, nor I, nor you, no one controls, which is the coherency of the Ukrainian society, because there's a lot of pressure on the Ukrainian society. So we will see what will the Ukrainian government will do to keep the cohesion of the Ukrainian society. The best thing they can do for the Ukrainian society is to deliver some wins. Like if in 2024, Ukraine, or 2025, sorry, we're already next year. If in 2025, Ukrainian armed forces will be able to stop Russian advances, so there will not be any kind of a big media collapse on the front line, you know, I already explained this, that a lot of those, like Ukraine is losing, there is a collapse on the eastern front line of Ukraine. This is like all in our heads because media is just feeding into both the Russian narratives and our own fears. In reality, the data doesn't show that there is any kind of collapse or catastrophic loss of territory or anything even close, remotely close for Ukraine. No, instead, what I'm hoping that there will be a prevention for all of these like media narratives to be rising up, and more aggressive campaigns against Russians, taking some of that territory back, for example, and so on. And I think as soon as there will be more Ukrainian wins on the front line, I feel that this will be a big boost also for Ukrainian society. So, all things considered, despite all the shit that is happening, 2025 is starting pretty fucking optimistic, if you ask me. All right, let's get into the questions. The very first question got cut off. I only see like the half, but it's a question from Georgie. How are the members of the Cardinal Birds? Are they safe and well? So Cardinal Birds is a band that did a single for this channel, the Ukraine Matters, the one that I put a play at the end of my videos. It's a Ukrainian band. They're amazing guys. One of the guys' fathers is building drones for the Ukrainian armed forces. Super cool man. I've helped with some donations to him from the channel profits. Then another guy from the band, he joined the Ukrainian armed forces. I haven't been inquiring lately what they have been up to. There might be another member of the group band that decided to join the Ukrainian armed forces, but I am not sure. So I don't have the precise knowledge on that. I will reach out to the guys. I think I haven't been a little bit too busy to do so. Lou asks, latest, Trump will secure Ukraine rare earth minerals for US mining in return for billions invested in the war. Yes, and as I said, I don't see a big issue in Ukraine trading their resources for securing the defined securing of procurement of weaponry, right? If there are trade contract that obliges both parties to execute, and it's not going to be like, oh, there's going to be like a Biden or person or Sullivan that just at some points decides, oh, maybe we shouldn't send Ukraine weapons. No, it's a trade agreement. It's a trade agreement. Ukraine has purchased weapons. It will get the weapons. I don't see any issues there. Gord Simpsons, hi Georgie. When Ruby goes back home to the castle in the sky, empty-handed, what will the Orange King do? Invade Greenland and Canada? This is a big distraction from Russia, Ukraine. So, with regards to Trump and his trade tariffs, trade wars, threatening the allies, I think, well, look, I've stated my perspective very, very clearly. I respect democracy so much. Democracy, I love fucking democracy. Democracy is the best, and I will protect and do for democracy whatever I can. I respect the stated democratic process that happened in US, and people in US have elected Donald Trump to be the president of the United States. I respect the process. I respect the opinion that was expressed, and I respect the decision. I understand that Trump is going to be the leader of the United States for the next 4 years, and I do not respect Trump in the slightest as a person. As a personal level, absolutely not. But he is going to be the president of the United States for the next 4 years. As soon as he got elected, I stated very clearly that we should stop looking at US like it's part of our alliance. Like Trump has clearly demonstrated in the last couple of days that he doesn't look at alliances or any kind of deals with any regards to that they're worth anything. For example, there has been like a Trump administration, the last time that he was in power, they've negotiated the US, Canada, Mexico free trade agreement. And then as soon as he got into power, he started a trade war with Canada and Mexico. The same countries, they have the negotiated trade agreement that they did for the last time. So the agreement didn't run out. He just decided to violate it. right? And it's the same logic. Now, you can argue that this is his negotiation positions. He just wanted to get some preferences for US, that he wanted to get his positions. And it's a fair position to have, that he wants that. What I'm stating is he does not respect that. He does not respect the alliances and agreements that were on the table, that he will bend anything that he can to his will to get his way. Now, there's a lot of people that like that. Like, some people that are very nationalistic in the United States, they want US to be number one, the MAGA. But as soon as you put US number one, you disrupt absolutely the equal alliance system that have been built up by US for generations. The response to Trump's debacle that he's been doing with Canada and Mexico right now has been sending shockwaves through Europe. No one is looking at US as a reliable ally at all. So the whole alliance is basically gone. We're going to be basically partners. And I knew that as soon as Trump was elected. I'm surprised that some people are surprised about this. So, and if we're just in partnership, if we are going to be just, pushing, pulling, talking about trade negotiations, trade relationships, I think it's a fair position to have. I think it's part of the capitalism to negotiate. Like, what do you sell? What do I sell? What kind of trade tariffs do we put on each other? Like, how do we make better trade agreements? And that's fine. But it's not alliance. And that's the relationship and how I perceive Trump right now. I, from my European perspective, do not perceive current administration and current state of USA as our allies. I do think that about half of the population in the United States still wants to see us as allies and continue the path of democracy, but it is not the part that voted for the current administration. And democracy doesn't work like that. NATO is still NATO, that doesn't change. NATO is NATO on paper. Because at some point Trump might say, well, if you want us to protect you, give us your rare earth minerals, because he can do that. The NATO Article 5 works only if there is a willingness to go forward with the Article 5. That's it. So if at some point Trump decides that, like, well, I'm not going to help you unless you pay me, that is a position he might take. That is a position he might take. So no, NATO is not NATO. We are living in a different world. Oh. Oh my God, it's the enforcers become the brother in arms. Welcome, welcome. Richard Bennett, thank you so much for being a member for 24 months. Thank you, Georgies, for everything that you do. Hans Eriksson, Slava Ukraini, my friend. Thank you so much for 200 Swedish kroners. Barry Mundy, thank you so much for being a member for 4 months. Budwar, thank you so much for being a member for 23 months. Congratulations for 180,000 subs. Amazing work, team. Thank you so much, guys. As I said, for me, it's just a number on the internet. Doesn't really mean much. I would trade my channel, like, and everything that this channel stands for, whatever, if this would end the war in Ukraine. Like, I don't need this. Like, I never was expecting I'm going to be a YouTuber, so 180,000 of you decided to follow and share with me. I love this. I love that you do. But please stay focused on helping Ukraine. That's the most important thing. I don't matter. My ego doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Just keep supporting Ukraine. Yvonne Way, thank you so much for being a member for 21 months. Appreciate it. Alison Marlowe, welcome to Brother in Arms. Weren't you before? I was like, are you resubscribing? Yeah. Barabas Nanitoch, thank you so much for $5. As an American, I pray for Ukraine can pull through because I have no hope here at home. Don't lose hope, man. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. Because, look, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get copyrighted. Holy shit, I'm going to get copyrighted. I'm going to cut this out in the... I'm going to put a video and then I'm going to answer the questions. I promise. So... Oh, there we go. There we go. Give me a second. Let me sure that I don't spoil anything. Yes. There we go. So, in my life, as you know, I came from a very, very poor background. And when I'm saying poor, I literally was digging through dumpsters to find myself some food. That's my childhood. My childhood was me going through dumpsters because I wanted to eat something. And because of democracy, because of what democracy is, I was able to reach the positions where I am now. And there has been some very important influences in my life. Some very, very important influences. Influences that ironed out my perspective on the world and what the world is and what my perspective on the world should be. And I'm going to show you one of them. So please don't laugh. Yes, the Sly's monologue in this part of Rocky just really struck me into the core of my beliefs. And this is where I come back to you. Like, you're stating that you're giving up and so on. And the answer is right here, like with this philosophy, that it's in your head. Like the ability that you're thinking that everything is in your head, that this is where the life is going to beat you up. And life is not fair. Nothing is fair. And it's going to try to break you and it's going to try to twist and turn you. But it's about going forward and not stopping. It's like when there is the least hope you have, that's the time to go forward. That's the time to do more. So my answer is, if you feel desperate, if you feel that the things are really going down, that things are really, really, really bad, yeah, tough shit. That's life. What are you doing about this? So my advice is basically, if you care, this is what helped me get from my slums situation, my situation of digging through trash where I had no future, zero future, to now being a channel supposedly with 180,000, and that's meaning something to some people. Keep it up. Don't give up. Welcome to Brother in Arms, the Japanese symbols. I cannot read, sorry. Smashley, thank you so much for giving 5 memberships. Appreciate it so much. Misdemeanor, thank you so much for 20 bucks. Keep it up and keep it on. A salute, truck thump. Yes. Yes, all right. Let's go to the questions, because there is a lot of them. Are there any updates on the number of F-16s in service of Ukraine now? Yes, but it hasn't been published publicly. So I know, but I don't know if I want to tell. So the number of F-16s have increased. They're also expected to increase more. But I cannot say how many of them, because I haven't seen these news being published by the Russian sources. And this is just part of the OPSEC that I do. Mr. Eric Olson, what data facts do we know about the Seeker Hunter shotgun drones? Are they making a significant difference or unknown? We've seen so far, I believe, 8 cases, something like 8 videos I've seen, I think, maybe more, maybe 12, something around those numbers, but like 10 to 20 maximum cases of these drones being used. I think it's a relatively fresh development, and it's definitely could be helpful, but you need to understand that it's a tactical level. So far, it's part of that cycle. So Ukraine right now is in a technological cycle where about every half a year, there is a new development that is happening. So there is a response to some developments that have been happening before. So in Ukraine, the cycle of innovation is very fast. So we'll see in the next couple of months, the number of these drones increase more and more. Lou asks, isn't there rare minerals in eastern Ukraine, so no go for Putin? Yes, and that's something that Ukraine should trade for, but not all. There is still a lot of the minerals in the other parts of Ukraine. The majority is in the eastern part, but not all. Ukraine still has a lot of stuff. Georgie, keep up the great work, G. We love you and your famous rants. Absolutely. Though I've been a little bit, how do you say? Some people have been raving a little bit more because of Trump, but because my position, actually from what I showed you so far, the Rocky clip, my position is that Trump is just the storm that just came for us. So I'm not asking myself as like and running with my head like with yelling, screaming, like what am I, what's happening, what to do. No, I'm just asking myself, well, what I'm doing going forward. How do we work with what we're having? I don't like looking back. I like looking forward. Hungary keeps threatening to veto all EU action. It doesn't get every single thing it wants. Hungary has been threatening a lot. Then people started threatening Hungary. Hungary backs down. We repeat the cycle. So Hungary has been getting some small things back, but not everything. Okaba Tony, how can I join the struggle? Not sure about struggle what you mean. You can participate in our fundraiser. A good plugin. Guys, if you didn't know, which I don't think you didn't, but we're running a fundraiser with the Ukrainian Unmanned System Forces. We are getting help for the Ukrainian Armed Forces. We are already right over 12 trucks that will be delivered. There's actually some people that reached out that want to donate their trucks, so it's actually going to be more. So it's really good. And we are going forward. And right after this campaign, I have stupendously big announcement. Like I have been busy at work to help Ukraine, to build up something that will help Ukraine immensely. And it's a big news. And I really want to share it. But because that news might also entail some kind of a participation within the fundraiser, if so on, if you will want, only if you will want, obviously. But I promised the guys here at the Car for Ukraine that I will make sure that we complete this campaign 100% before I move to anything else. So please participate if you can. Let's get some cars to Ukrainian Armed Forces. And that's the best way for you to participate in, how did you say, struggle? Yes. Any comments on Armen Sargsyan assassination? Good fucking riddance. So this guy, like a lot of people are reporting, oh, he has been like an Eastern, how do you say, leader of like militia or something. That guy is a monster. So he has been basically, he's the person that has been running the torture chambers for Ukrainians. So that's what he was doing. He has been setting up a lot of these groups that would capture both local civilians and Ukrainian armed forces, and he would create and run torture chambers for them. That's the guy that got assassinated. So I'm fucking celebrating. That's what I can comment on. Andrew Noah Costa, how is equipping the brigades is going? Is there news about 155 mechanized? Well, if you ask. That's the thank you flag from the 155th Mechanized Brigade. As you can see, Ukraine matters. Oh, shit. Wrong side, sorry. Yeah, like this. So, from 155th Brigade, huge thank you to us. To this channel, because we've been helping. So how things are going in 155th Brigade. So after the big scandal, there have been a lot of look back at how that brigade was formed. There was a big discussion with the command. So if I put it shortly, the command of brigade, while they were sending some people to train in the east, they were also trying to send some people, essentially almost like selling off some of the their subordinates of that 155th Brigade to send them to some other brigades on the front line. It's been wild. So these guys have now been arrested, and they're under investigations, and it's been really, really wild what have been happening. Since then, there have been more competent people came to the 155th Brigade command, and they have been revamping. 155th Brigade right now is defending the Pokrovsk area, and the reports are that they're doing quite well. So they are not to their full force. They are looking for more help, but they are doing much, much better. It's more of a, like, they're getting the experience. Yeah, did they outsource their own troops? You can call it like this. Yes, basically they were forced outsourcing troops towards the front line. People that were not ready, people that didn't complete their training yet, and this is what caused like a big wave of people going AWOL. Essentially, the command just saying is like, it doesn't matter for us. Are you trained or not? We're gonna send you essentially to the front line because we want to. And people said like, fuck that, I'm running away. So, and a lot of these people that run away actually have been coming back. I'm not sure if they came back to the 155th Brigade, but this is one of those like really, really bad cases of bad command. It's an issue. Like, there's a lot of issues in Ukrainian military. It's just very unfortunate that what's happening with this brigade. I'm really happy that the things are getting much better. You might want to consider splitting the car campaign in two parts. If donations are slowing down, maybe fresh run with 155. No, they're not slowing down, actually, donations. We are pretty constant. They're going quite well, very constant. We're on comparable basis. So, no, it's not really slowing down. No, it's not. Where like there was a little bit of a speed up during Christmas, but that's Christmas, you know. It's always a speed up, but we're going in a good tempo. It's fine. We just need to do more. It's okay. So thank you for taking care. All right, let's get back to the questions. My Rocco, please show me some more Russian Mad Max vehicles today. Thank you, G. Let's see if I have any saved. I haven't been looking for that. Let me see. I have like a video saved with a lot of the Russian drones being shut down by the Ukrainian armed forces. Let's see. Just 30 seconds. I will just check if there is any new ones. Something that is... there's a lot of blown up equipment. I cannot show that. Yeah, a lot of the weird equipment that I see here is blown up. Oh, there we go. I found something. There we go. Save. I hope there is no like stupid music. It's a problem that there is like so many dumb music. There we go. Oh yeah, of course there is music. So apparently this is like Christmas themed thing. So don't judge me, judge the Russians. So I don't fucking know. I mean, it's technically a tank, I guess. Oh, they're dragging the captured M113. Okay. Yeah, but I have a lot of equipment here. You can see. I guess this is like from some early times during Christmas. Yeah, as you can see there now, it's completely Mad Max. You see they're now painting like already decorations on the vehicles. So we're really going down the rabbit hole with all of these vehicles. Like, what the fuck is that? Oh yeah, camo. I guess it's the military camo. You know, it's like, how do you fit into that rubble that Russia is creating from the Ukrainian cities? Yeah, you just become looking like rubble yourself, for sure. There we go. I found something. Okay, where is the chat? I lost chat. There we go. Bumper stickers, yes, for sure. Oh man. Do you think that Russia is going to invade the Baltics? I'm really concerned about my homeland safety. Maris, they will, unless they're stopped in Ukraine. So I think this is a reality that we are living in. Is that if Russia is not stopped in Ukraine properly, then they will definitely invade the Baltics. Our course of action should be very clear. We need to support Ukraine as much as we can, because every day that Ukrainians keep fighting, if you wanna, if you like, here is a utilitarian perspective for you. If you wanna be safer, then the best course of action is to continue supporting Ukraine. Every day that Ukraine keeps fighting is another, like, let's say 4 or 5 days that Russia will need to recover. So for every year extra that Russia is going to be fighting Ukraine, that's additional 4 or 5 years that the Baltics will be safe, because Russia is just going to struggle to recover. But if you want the reality, then it's about realizing our military potential. We need to build capabilities like drones. We need to start developing cost-efficient weapons, because it is fully possible to stop Russia in Latvia. Fully possible. Latvia has seemingly very flat terrain. When people come visit Latvia, there's like, oh my God, there's just flat terrain. There's nothing there. Not really. There's a lot of bugs in Latvia. A lot of really, really nasty bugs. And getting through those bugs is actually pretty problematic. So if there is a proper defense plan for Latvia, then it can actually hold a lot of hits. So we need to invest in our safety and promote safety, promote defense of Europe without looking at the United States. And that's the best way to do it, so is support Ukraine. Sorry, meant to ask, why don't other EU member states reverse card Hungary and say we will veto all funding and support Hungary until Hungary opens towards the line support Europe? They're doing that. If you remember, there was always a lot of the news talking that Hungary is about to block something, and then they kind of overcame that block. That's exactly what happened. It's just a game that Orban is playing every time just to kind of keep being relevant and threatening to the whole of Europe. So he can get back something to him. It's already like a well-known cycle. He's also having big troubles in the polls. Thankfully for him, he still can wait until, I believe it's next year. Які шанси, що Калінінград успішно відокремиться від Росії? Not very much, because Kaliningrad is fully Russian. I've already showed this and so on, because we looked at Kaliningrad and say, this is the Königsberg, this is the Krolewetz, this is the ex-Polish, German, whatever version of history you want to look at, part of Europe. The problem of that is that when the Soviets took over that part, they completely colonized it. They removed any local populations, and now this is just a part of Russia. It's just full of Russians. The people that are living there are not Europeans. They are mentally Russians. They are physically Russians. They are just fucking Russians. They are really, really bad. And I already showed pictures and Google Street Views. If you want something, I don't want to delve into this again, but just go into Google Street Views and just drop into Kaliningrad, and you will see some ruins of the old historic buildings, and then you will see this typical Russian landmarks. You will see those just absolutely sickening perspectives of this Russia. And you're like, is this Europe? Or it's like, nope, it's not. It's very much Russia. So no, I wouldn't look at Kaliningrad and expect there's going to be something that's what's going to transition to us. It's clear to me that Russia has always relied on their attacking force and now realize their country is too big to defend against drones. Correct. Yes. Thank you, Puralena. This is kind of the summing up of my whole argument. I'm actually going to use this, if you will allow me, that indeed that Russia has been essentially really expecting a lot and putting a lot of effort into building the aggressive force, but their defensive force are actually struggling when you compare it to what Russia needs to defend. Nick Lindberg, hi G and Mod T. My question is how the North Korean troops withdrawing from Kursk shapes that from the relationship between Putin and Kim. The North Korean troops fell back just to regroup and readapt their tactics. They're not going anywhere, so don't get too don't get too hopeful on that. Antonio Spios, saw a video on Discord, drone taking out a bridge piling. Looks like there was a previously placed satchel charges. Is that accurate? Espionage for drone? No, Antonios. A majority of the bridges that are close to the front line are satcheled. That's just norm. Like, that's the norm. The fact that drone was just able to find that satchel charge and blow it up is a great success. I know the video that you're talking about, by the way. Scott Langhorst, do you think Trump is trying to set up dictatorship that his sons will inherit? It's a possible scenario. I think for dictatorships to get, like, dictatorships, they cannot really go through all of the democratic institutions really fast. So the democratic institution will start eroding. The only thing that potentially what can be done, and this is where it's going to be dependent whether or not the American population will accept it, is whether Trump will allow a third term for himself, or, for example, they will change the voting standards for how the president is voted in. So they will essentially create the system in which one of the parties is pretty much 90% victorious at all times. This is the second term of Trump. I don't believe that the first term of Trump was fully dictatorship focused, but right now it seems that they are really looking to restructure a lot of the government. At least their first actions are suggesting on that. So there is going to be a lot of the kickback from existing checks and balances in the US, just inherently, the people that are working there and so on. Now, Trump's administration seemingly wants to fire a lot of these people and substitute them with different people, and that's the proper dictatorship moves if one wants to establish dictatorship. But the system will inherently resist, so it will take time, and I don't believe that 4 years is enough time to fully rebuild the system. So the most crucial for Trump's potential dictatorship, if you want to look at it like this, is either an additional term or some kind of changes where the next inheritor will be predetermined, so to say. I feel that's the kind of the ultimate goal. Everything else is salvageable, so to say. Let's see some more super chats. Mark Essenberg, welcome to Brother in Arms. Thank you. George, thank you so much for £5. Will you do a meetup in Ukraine once they win so this community can get together and celebrate together and enjoy so beautiful Ukraine? Slava Ukrainian Armed Forces. George, absolutely, yes. As soon as the war is over, I'm going to go to Ukraine. We are now considering maybe I will be able to go to Ukraine earlier, but let's talk about this once we're done with the drone fundraiser, not drone, sorry, with the car fundraiser that we're doing right now. So, but I'm going to Ukraine for sure. Like, so far, I'm not going there only because of my wife and her essentially position on that, because I love my wife so much. Nick Lindberg, is it inevitable that Putin will end up throwing his finance minister and our governor of Russia Bank under the bus and scapegoat them for the Kremlin's problems? Thank you for your work. I mean, yes, because that's what's been happening, but you need to understand that it doesn't really matter, right? So he can fire, he can remove someone, but it doesn't really matter, because we see that, generally speaking, people that get removed, not many of them get, like, essentially deleted. Most of the people that get deleted are the people that probably try to go against Putin or something. If the person was just incompetent or didn't do his job the way that Putin wanted, so far the history shows that they just get removed from the government, but they're not really prosecuted if they stay silent. Lou asking, Putin will not attack US mining companies. This is a game changer. That's actually kind of true. Marcel is saying, you saw the attack on the warlord in the Moscow. Do you mean the Sargsyan? Yes. Yes, I already said about that. Geoff, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Jill, is Putin going to buy more Norks from Kim? Yes. Dingleberg 11B, have you seen the latest sanctions evasion from Estonia? It's apparently luxury cars. Not that it matters, or what just surprise is coming from there. No. Like, look, like especially for something like Latvia and Estonia, what you need to understand that there is a lot of like literal traitors in there. There is a lot of the Russian population that came in there during the Soviet times, and they have built a parallel society, and about like 15 to 20% of those countries are literally loyal to Putin. They are they're sleeping and dreaming only about one thing. So Putin come in and then put those Latvians or Estonians to their knees just so they can essentially state we are in charge now. Those are the people that are living in Latvia and Estonia. So there is plenty of people that does not want for Estonia to exist and for Latvia to exist. So I'm not surprised that those schemes exist in the Baltic countries at all. Stephen Bendel, if Ukraine gives US companies the right to the minerals in Luhansk, US would help both free and protect the area. Great win for Ukraine. Now, I don't expect that to be fully true, but I think this is a great negotiation for Ukraine, right? It's definitely something that Ukraine can offer. I think this is a great potential for diplomacy to work. Marcel Buzmit, Georgie, you saw an attack on Russian... Okay, yeah. Yes, Putin become concerned. Putin is concerned, but he's a good player. He's playing it very nice. Olaf, can you make any more sense? Can you make any more sense and any... okay, sorry. Olaf, can you make any more sense and be any more grounded? No. Chris Ridd, are the drone strikes into Russia sustainable on a continued basis, or has Ukraine saved these for the run-up to negotiations? No, Ukraine has been striking Russia already for a while, and we've seen that majority of Ukraine doesn't have stockpiles of drones. They're producing them and they're using them. Now, do they prepare them like a little bit in advance for dedicated dates of strikes? Absolutely. But does it mean that Ukraine is using up more drones they can produce? No, that data doesn't show that. It shows that the strikes are pretty consistent. Simp is asking, do you think it is realistic for Europe to form a military alliance that provide enough security guarantees for Ukraine? Yes, but we need more investment in our defense, and we need to realize that we are responsible for our own security. So far, it's not fully realized. Dingleberg 11B, who was the high-ranking Russian orc that was killed? I told about it. He was the Eastern European warlord that was torturing Ukrainians. The Mr. Derp, could we reinforce the message that NATO is not like the UN? You don't pay membership dues, only children that thread their taxes say stuff like that. Of course we don't, but it's more, and the 2% is guideline, but during wartime, which we are right now in, it's not about the guideline that is on paper, it's about the principle. So the point when we're stating about how much countries spend on their defense is because of the principle, the fact that we are in a literally pre-war scenario in Europe. So we in Europe need to realize the threat, and we need to increase our investment in our own defense. You get me? It wasn't me. Are there any plausible estimates about how much damage Ukraine is doing to the Russian oil production in percentage terms? People say that during the January, it was something like 11% refining capacity was taking out. With regards to how many drone storages, how many fuel storages have been taken out, we cannot fully accurately estimate that. 28. Any Western companies helping to repair Russian refineries? Not directly, but circumventing sanctions, yes. So they're sending like their specialists secretly. Selling equipment through like a chain of countries, so they cannot be traced. So yes, but also no. Lisa Mitchell, has Russian Navy started moving into the Baltic? Yes. What? Which Navy? I'm not sure that which Navy you mean. Andrews 2025. Are other countries preparing for Canadian troops to leave their country to protect Canada from Trump? They should be. Trump and Mercians are known our enemies. With all respect to Canada, I don't think Canada is well known for their troops. Also, like, dude. Sirius Holger, is nobody asking Donald J. Trump simple questions like what does NATO stand for if he doesn't know? No, he will answer something what it stands for, but it doesn't matter for Trump. Like it stands for what it stands for Trump. So NATO is a club of people that pay US for protection. Jimbo82, do you think the West will one day liquefy the frozen Russian assets into cash for Ukraine to buy weapons? And would Ukraine be allowed to use them as they wish without any restrictions? Donald Trump's administration has been interested in this because free money for US. So we'll see if the world powers will be interested, because majority of those 300 billion of frozen Russian assets are in countries like Switzerland. Like those are not super easily acquired by the United States. But if Donald Trump will put this as something that he would want to get, I'm pretty sure they could get it. Georgie, where do you think the North Koreans have gone to? Regrouping and relearning their mistakes. Cornelis Zandbergen, Ukraine wants to produce 30,000 long-range drones this year. What open source or unclassified information is available about the current production numbers? It seems already 100 a week. Last year, Ukraine totaled about 1.3, I believe, million drones in production, all types. Angry Fat Banana, and this year we're expecting much more than that. Angry Fat Banana, am I the only one thinking it's weird that Canada gets 25 Paris for 45 pounds fentanyl over the border? It's not about fentanyl, it's not about tariffs, it's about the political games. Olaf, how likely it is that at some point the soldier desert because of no pay and Ukraine can pretty much just walk the 1991 borders? Not a lot, right? So the current modern Russian military is running on fear. So the soldiers that are in Russian military are not there just to get money. They go join the Russian military to get money, but then they cannot leave the Russian military because if they leave, basically the fear is they would just get killed. And they do get killed constantly if they try to do anything like this. There's plenty of stories. I'm preparing a story for the next video, for example. Like, actually, I'm just going to play it now as a preview for you guys, right? Let's see. Where is it? Where is the video? I think this is the video. I hope it is. I hope it is dubbed. So I will play the video and it's very much actual for this situation. I hope this is dubbed one.
I am the mother of a serviceman. My son's name is Artyom, call sign Czech. He served in military unit 52892 in a separate assault company V. He was sent to Toretsk on December 10th. And on the 22nd of December, they go with comrade for groceries. On the 23rd, they are caught by the 3rd Motorized Rifle Battalion, also of military unit 52892 Lavina, where the deputy political officer is Ramil. 2 guys. Koshmar. And horse put a bag over my son's head, handcuffed him, and took to Gorlovka to their unit, placed in a detention center. And their phones were taken away, so my son couldn't contact me or inform me. Also, neither could I nor the command. On December 28th, they quietly sent my son to the front in handcuffs. To the body armor, they taped 2 anti-tank mines and sent towards Ukrainians. On December 30th, the command assigns my son to AWOL. And from the 23rd, my son did not contact me anymore, and everyone is covering it up. Everything was told to us by a guy who was with him. He is now hiding and concealing himself, and he is afraid to get in touch. He is ready to testify, but only if he has protection. But it seems someone scared him so much that he is even afraid to contact me now.
Yes, stories like this, like, oh, there was a couple of guys, and then some commander just put them in detention and then taped some anti-tank mines and then sent him to go die. It builds a narrative within the military. So they think is like, well, if I try to do something against the Russian military, I'm 100% dead. But if I go try assault Ukrainian positions, I may be 90% dead. Maybe there is a 10% chance that I survive. So that's how the Russian military is acting. So the story that we just heard, this is not anything special. I've heard already like hundreds of these stories like these. It's just I never kind of started posting these videos, so there's a lot of people that for some reason don't really believe that this is how Russians are acting. So I'm going to start supplementing my videos with these kind of snippets, just so we get on the same page. Okay, let's see. What's the time? Let's do 10 minutes more and then I'm gonna wrap up. I'm still in a bit of a pain today. Tosun Abi, will Putin ever face the International Criminal Court? Yes, if they will lose the war. Inkboy, what is more expected from Russia after, let's say, bad peace deal? The continued Ukraine war on the Baltic front? Yes. Russia most definitely is going to invade NATO country. Most probably, they first are going to focus on Moldova. They're going to take over Moldova. They will try to take over Ukraine either physically or politically. There has been rumors about Kazakhstan, but I think that Putin is interested into disrupting the world order rather than just taking over territory, because this is what the war in Ukraine is Russian aggression for Russian imperialism to disrupt the world order, and it's been pretty successful so far, right? Europe has been pretty much paralyzed by what Russia is doing, and we are still like over 3 years in. We're still trying to find like where our stable ground is, like, and we still hear that like every interview that Zelensky is taking, a European journalists come and he's just like, well, when are you going to finally surrender so we can get back to trading with Russia? Literally. And it just shows the mindset of us in Europe is still not there. We're still in some kind of transformation, still some kind of weird delusions about what Russia is and so on. Can you do a rant for at least 5 minutes? We'll see. There's not been a topic for me to rant so far. Ben Johnson, do you think Ukraine can economically viable without Crimean Black Sea security, grain at a sea export? Well, I don't see the reason why Ukraine needs to be without Crimea. Ken35, are any new about the sub in Norra Balt? I don't know. Don Hewitt, how is Russian oil refinery bingo card doing? A few more refineries and I have a bingo, lol. It's gonna more as a comer. Okay. Ken Rout, what is Trump's tariffs are? What if Trump's tariffs are a way to help Russia without being obvious about this? Wait. What if Trump's tariffs are a way to help Russia without being obvious about it? Wrecking the world economy is going to make it harder for countries to help Ukraine due to the failing tax revenues. Listen, Trump is a lot of things, but he hasn't been really subtle mastermind. I think like his modus operandi is like move fast and break things, not like move slow and conceal your true actions or something. It's like, no, I think he's been pretty much upfront of what he's gonna do. So, I mean, so far he's pretty much delivering what he promised on his campaign trail. Except no, when he was talking about tariffs on campaign trail, everyone thought there's going to be tariffs on China, not on fucking Canada and Mexico. But he had other plans. Lisa Mitchell, I saw where Russians Navy ships moored in St. Petersburg were going to get deployed in the Baltic. Just wondering if you've seen any movement at all. Yes, some of the Russian ships have been trailing some of the Russian oil tankers, but there has been no confrontation so far. Russian Baltic Sea Fleet is like minuscule. It would be absolutely demolished if there is any conflict. Greg is asking, how does Russian crowdfunding compare to ours? It's hard to compare because there is a lot of crowdfunding that is goes under the radar for us. There's a lot of people that are donating anonymously. Specifically, I know in Europe, it's a lot of anonymously is like really rich people. Like a lot of them are donating anonymously. And there is a lot of companies, big companies in Europe that are donating to help Ukraine, and they're doing it anonymously. So it's hard to compare. We don't have really the accurate data. It's going to be counted by historians in total number of support that Ukraine got. Olaf, will the Kyrgyzstan, Dagestan, etc. maybe lead to an inner conflict in Russia? It might, but I would not expect it. I would not hope for it. I think we need to focus on our own actions first and foremost. Where boss, what happens if Ukraine loses or the defense line breaks? Do you think Poland or EU then invade? Oh my God, Jesus. No, it's a Russian narrative. It's absolutely absurd. Poland or EU will not invade into Ukraine. Also, the front line will not break. So it's a nice cool story, bro, but not much more than that. It was me. Please tell Ali that we love her and that we send her our love. Ali, everyone loves you. We send you your love. We send you our love? Sorry. Fabrice, after the defeat of Russia, do you have any idea of what will happen to them? A guy worse than Putin, country breaking apart. Let's get to the end. Like, there's plenty of different scenarios how this can end. There are scenarios where Putin still stays in power and Russia still loses. There are scenarios where Russia wins but still falls apart. There's a lot of different scenarios. Let's see towards which scenario we're going to be slowly moving. What I am happy about is that we're slowly again moving away from that scenario in which Ukraine had a weak position, right? That scenario was the most threatening after the failed Ukrainian counteroffensive. There was a period where there was a lot of the uncertainty inside of the European Union and European allies, and it felt that, like, you know, it might be like, oh, you blew your chance, Ukraine. But because of the Ukrainian diplomacy, because of the everything else, we seem to have overcome that. Now, Trump's administration is talking a lot that they want to end this war and so on. There is not a lot of indicators that it's going to happen. Putin is not indicating he's interested in real negotiations, so he's just going to be dragging the time and fake negotiating just to make sure that potentially win some kind of points for Ukraine to get less weapons. That's what he's going to do. But for the rest, it feels that the narratives in Europe have changed a lot. And I feel like Europe has the capability, if it invests significantly into its own defense, to supply Ukraine with everything that they need to crush Russia. Plus, we are now in a situation where Russia finally run out of their stockpiles. Pretty much by the end of 2025, they will be pretty much empty. And they will need to then sustain themselves on their own production. And their production is absolute garbage, trash, absolutely nonsensical. So we will be very, very, very top level for Ukraine. We're just going to see the situation slowly but surely improve for Ukraine. So that's why I'm kind of more optimistic. I think Ukraine has passed that moment that was the most threatening for Ukraine. Right, last 4 questions. Guys, stop writing it up. I'm going to wrap this up. Antonio says, Starsky mentioned in a recent video that Ukraine has 30,000 drones. I'm sure that just means they're using them whenever they want. Yes, 30,000, I believe it's the long-range drones, and I'm not sure if this was the monthly production amount, but like maybe it's like total production amount. I don't know. But Ukraine has a lot of drones, and they will build a lot more drones. Awesome HPT, if China invades Taiwan one day, will you start a Taiwan Matters channel? I don't have that much of a close connection to Taiwan. Like, I love Taiwan because it's a democracy and so on. But and I definitely never support China. Maybe, but I'm not really like, an expert. I cannot share any insight. And as I said, like, I'm not really a big YouTuber or anything. I never thought about this as my career. I'm just a guy on YouTube that just talks about stuff that I know a thing or two about, or I read a thing or two about. And thanks to all of you guys, you watch me. For some reason, you like my opinion. So we're doing it. The best thing is that we all here have a great talk, have a great discussion, big love to each other, and then we say, okay, great, let's go to the Georgie's fundraiser, let's participate, let's get some cars to Ukraine, and that's great. We already did, like, what is it now, over 100, I think it's now we're at 1.3 million with the 120,000 already donated to the campaign with the car for Ukraine. I think we're at 1.3 million. Like, shit, man, we helped over 1.3 million with this channel. Fucking A. Where boss, do you think Trump owes Putin for 2016 election? And maybe not. Not really my perspective. Do you think that's why he's supporting Putin? I think Putin 100% got blackmailed, maybe a golden shower video. Listen, there's a lot of these theories, there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of like Trump verstehrs. As I said, like, I'm not very interested right now into what Trump is, why he got there, and so on. This is something that a lot of the American commentators probably would be much more knowledgeable and interested in. My current perspective is that Trump is a wild card, and my main focus is from that Rocky clip is like, what do we focus on? How do we work to potentially make sure that what he does benefits Ukraine? Because we definitely cannot treat him as an ally right now. So, and if US is not in alliance with the EU and with me and is European, and instead it's more of a competitive partnership, it's fair. US can be in that, but I cannot then look at it and say just like, well, US wants to work towards the same goal as us Europeans. We've diverged. Trump's administration diverged from what I think should be the best goal for democracy. It diverged to something completely different. And that's why I am more thinking about, well, what should I do for potentially US get back on that track? How can I help promote the message? So, for example, when next elections come around, we get there. Something like this. So, organize, work towards the better future, don't give up. Life is tough, but it's about how much we can get hit and keep going forward. Okay, last question. Olaf, when back in Estonia, Reiki podcast on future possibilities? Yeah, we did one with Reiki podcast. Arthur is an amazing guy, really cool. Love him so much. So maybe I will drop by Estonia at some point now that I'm working only with this YouTube and some other things that I cannot disclose. But I'm a lot more mobile, so maybe I'll just drop by Estonia. It's just I need to find a way how to do it best. All right, guys, thank you so much for this short video. Video is coming tomorrow. I hope I will get rid of the pain and everything. Love you so much. Sorry for no rant. I'm going to rant maybe next time. In any case, continue supporting Ukraine. Trust in Ukrainian armed forces. Pretty optimistic January. Fuck Russia. And I'll see you next time.